Can you believe the fascinating history of collecting autographs? If you are on the sports side of TikTok or YouTube, I'm sure you've come across all the different valuable autographs, whether that is a signed baseball or a one-of-one card. Collecting signatures has been expanding rapidly, but this art of collecting goes back far longer than you can imagine. The art of collecting actually dates back to ancient times, followers of artists or literary geniuses like that of Aristotle's works and writings. These pieces sometimes contain the signature of the artists or authors. Ptolemy essentially started the craze in 306 BC when he began collecting the works of Greek scholars. He amassed such a collection that included Plato, Aristotle, Thucydides, and many others. As Ptolemy had an unlimited budget, the world of collecting was his oyster. As time went on, this began to be the focus of the wealthy in ancient Rome who loved to display these antiquities, showcasing the amazing works of unique minds as well as showing off their wealth. Over time, these types of manuscripts and books would be collected and signed by authors. Many individuals would collect those pieces that touched the hands of leaders and minds in the ancient world. However, around the 14th century, we would see a movement towards more of the modern day of collecting. The Renaissance brought new geniuses to the public and also brought about more collecting. People wanted to get their hands on pieces from authors, artists, and world leaders. In fact, there are some large wealthy families that would go out to collect those pieces. Through these signatures over time were shown off as a sign of wealth. It would not be until the 1500s when he would actually see a transition to collecting. In 1507, a Bohemian squire began compiling signatures of his friends and acquaintances. These signature albums began to take off and become a part of culture in places like Germany, where students would often get the signatures of their professors or fellow students. This collecting would lead to some great artists and minds to be included in signature books, even prior to fame like that of Rembrandt drawing and signing in an album. This concept of signature albums would continue even throughout the 17th century. During the 1700s, however, you began to see a shift to the interest of collecting for sport. Essentially, throughout Europe, the wealthy began wanting to assemble collections of important individuals during the decades and centuries prior. The focus became to collect those monumental individuals from the past, those with value and fame. Collectors would want these signatures or art pieces for one of two reasons. The first was for the obvious, historical importance. The other was to showcase their social status, which signatures or works showcased how well connected someone was. It is believed that Sir Richard Phillips was the first official collector of signatures. Phillips started collecting in the late 18th century and amassed quite a collection of valuable items. It is believed that he was the first person who actually understood the long-term value of signatures or works, that they were not only for societal status or historical purposes, but also for collecting purposes, value, and enjoyment. Due to growing popularity in the world of autographs, in 1789, John Thane published a book with the facsimiles of famous individuals. This would lead us into the 19th century, where we would see more popularity surrounding the signatures of notable personalities. The marketplace for autographs and memorabilia began to develop during the early to mid-1800s. Prior to this, signatures or works would often be sold privately without any true market being established. By the 1830s, auctioneers began selling works or pieces that contained signatures. Thomas Thorpe, a London bookseller, became the first official autograph dealer in the area. It would not be popular in the United States until William B. Sprague began to build his collection. Being friends of someone who worked for the Washington family, Sprague began to collect correspondence of George Washington. By his death, he had over 40,000 pieces of signed memorabilia that included over 1,500 letters from Washington. In both the UK and US by the mid-1800s, there were no longer a focus on those individuals who were deceased. Rather, they began to collect literary figures, politicians, and celebrities. This even began things like through-the-mail autograph collecting. By the 1860s, there would even be recreational clubs devoted to collecting autographs. The Victorian era led to even more growth in the industry. If you were a celebrity or had any fame, there was a good chance someone would ask for your signature. Due to this, stores would begin to be created towards the early 1900s, focused on signatures and manuscripts. Autograph collectors searched for pieces of memorabilia from athletes, movie stars, authors, and political figures. Today, the autograph industry continues to grow and develop further. We've seen more collectors come out of the COVID-19 pandemic. More people want to find valuable pieces of memorabilia. Did you know the history of autographs? Thanks for watching. Please like, follow, comment, and subscribe. Believable Truths.